Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Jonathan and I look at tech companies for investors. And today I want to have a look at Elastic N.V. And I'm going to try and explain in a non-technical way what Elastic does. Then I'll look at its kind of most up-to-date finances, so its stock price and its most recent revenue that I can find. And then I'll kind of give you my final thoughts on Elastic as a company. Now, first, let's get into what Elastic is and what Elastic, does. So the non-technical explanation, or as non-technical as I could possibly get, is Elastic is, a search company. Now, a search company in kind of the similar sense as to Google and YouTube and pretty much Amazon. Now, one of the things that I've found when it comes to the internet, if you're not playing games or you're not clicking something, most of the time you're searching for something and you tend to use a search bar. Now, when you use this search bar and you type something into the search bar and press, enter or search, you will be shown a list of results that match your search. Now, computers aren't really good with spelling mistakes. And they're also not really good with, if you don't necessarily know what you're looking for. Which in the case for a lot of people, and including myself, is quite often. So in the conventional way, when you enter something into the search bar, you're going to get the results that match what you search exactly, which most of the time isn't that accurate. An example of this would be, let's say that you went online and you were searching for Apple, and you put in APLE. Then you end up with some really random results. This is because computers are really good at following orders, but not so good at reading your mind, unless it's Facebook. If you put this into like Google or YouTube or another application, most of the time it will kind of have an idea of what you're looking for, whether you're looking for Apple the fruit or Apple the company. And it doesn't really matter whether you've spelled it incorrectly. It kind of has an idea of what you're looking for. So this sort of search is flexible. It's flexible in the sense that you might not necessarily know exactly what you're looking for. So the algorithm just kind of helps you a little bit out in the end and just kind of nudges you in the right direction. But it's also flexible in the sense that you might not necessarily spell things correctly. You might be a really fast typer and accidentally miss a P or an L or an E. It happens. But most of the time when it comes to like Google and YouTube, you'll still kind of find the results that are close enough to what you were actually looking for. And YouTube and Google invest quite heavily in their search algorithms because they have, in some cases, billions of websites. And the way to narrow that down is to kind of give you the most relevant results. But what if you're a smaller company and don't have the resources like Google and YouTube, which in the case of, the majority of companies is, the majority of companies. So that's where Elastic comes in. And more specifically, Elasticsearch. So Elastic offers tools and, services that make it just a bit easier to integrate search and search algorithms and search analytics and search security into your website or application. So you can have this flexibility and also very powerful search features integrated into your own website. But also you can get quite a lot of very helpful analytics information from it. Now, this is incredibly valuable, and considering how much time people spend searching things online is very important. Here we have Elastic on Yahoo Finance. So looking at its kind of most recent kind of stock price, it's sitting around $120.3, $120.2 per share. Its 52-week range is $51.3 to $176.49. Its market cap is sitting about $10.781 billion, and its earnings per share are minus 1.38. Now, looking at it over the past day, it's actually seen a quite substantial increase. Over the past 5 days, it's had a few jumps. The past month, it's kind of balanced out. I would say it was on a bit of a steep decline until, well, about kind of the end of March. Having a look at 6 months, it kind of had this similar crash period of, well, almost everything around kind of the 10th or 11th of February. Over the year, it saw quite a steady increase in value. 5 years, and looking at its max, so it looks like it IPO'd in the 1st of October 2018, and over that kind of time it didn't really pick up that much until around January 2020. Here we have the kind of most up-to-date revenue that I could find, and it is in thousands, bear in mind, and you have the 9 months ending on January 31st for 2020 and 2021. So we can actually get a side-by-side comparison. If you look at their total revenue for 2020, they made 303.997 million, and for 2021 they made 430.879 million, which is quite good. It's an increase of about 127 million. Now we can also have a look at their total cost of revenue. So the cost of revenue for 2020 was 88.417 million, which equals around 29% of their total revenue. Then when you actually have a look at their cost of revenue for 2021, it was 115.247 million. Which, if you actually look at that as a percentage of their total revenue, is around 26.75%. So their cost of revenue in terms of a percentage went down when you compare those 9 month periods by about 2%. So you have a gross profit of the 9 months ending in January 31st for 2020 of 215.580 million. And for 2021, 315.632 million. So you have an increase of about 100 million, which is pretty good. Now, actually having a look at the operating expenses, like most tech companies, they invest quite heavily in research and development and sales and marketing, and they had an increase in, well, spending for both of those for 2021. Now those are, in, well, my opinion and kind of how I do these calculations, a flexible cost. If it really came down to it, and if, well, stuff hit the fan, then they could cut back on this. But general and administrative costs, which are kind of like the day-to-day expenses, this is actually quite impressive, because in 2020 their general and administrative costs were 71.472 million, and when you look at 2021 it was 72.555 million. So they only increased that by 1 million. And if we actually have a look at those as a percentage compared to their gross profit, their general and administrative cost, when you look at that as a percentage compared to their gross profit, so 71.472 million out of 215.580 million is around 33.1.5%. But for 2021, 72.555 million out of 315.632 million is around 23%, which is a substantial decrease in terms of, well, their general and administrative costs relative to their gross profit, which is quite impressive. So not only did they reduce their cost of revenue relative to their revenue, they also reduced their general and administrative costs relative to their gross profit, which is quite impressive. Now, they are still operating at a loss, but even their loss reduced comparing 2020 to 2021. Now, in my kind of technical understanding of the company, it's a very enticing company. Elasticsearch is very powerful, and it is pretty much essential. If you are a small business and you want to integrate search features into your website, then Elasticsearch is probably a very good option if you want to avoid some pretty hard, coding stuff. Now, Elastic N.V offers some really good services that make it quite easy for smaller companies to integrate really powerful search functionality into their websites without actually having to kind of break their budget, because we're not going to be able to compete with Google and YouTube in terms of how powerful their search kind of functionality is. But if we have a website that has like 100 pages on it, if our users can come onto it and then easily navigate it, it just makes the website just feel a lot better. And that's something businesses really want their kind of brand to represent, in my opinion anyway. They want their website to be smooth, they want it to be easy to use, and they want users to feel like they can rely on the website to do kind of what we're kind of used to nowadays. This, and the fact that it offers tools to analyze this data and get more out of the search functionality on websites and applications, which is fantastic for businesses, because the more data that they can gather and the more data they can extract from the users on their websites or applications, the more accurately they can do a lot of other things in their business, whether it be sales and marketing or flow of their website. Well, the kind of list is endless. So for the fact that Elastic N.V offers this sort of power and functionality to smaller companies, I think it's a pretty enticing company. Its revenue is really good, and for the fact that it's managed to, reduce its overhead while increasing its revenue is also very enticing. But please bear in mind that this is all my opinion. Please do not base any buying or selling decisions on the content of this video. If you have enjoyed this video and you have found it informative, please, before you go, hit that like button. And if there is any other tech companies you would like me to have a look at, then either search this channel and maybe I've made a video about it before, or let me know in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you next time.